Hello, everybody. I'd like to welcome you to the MCIEF vendor webinar. This webinar is not filed for state CE. If you do need state CE, you can go to our website at mcief.org. Today, we've got a great panel to talk to you about their product, Orion Fleet Intelligence. And what I will start by introducing you to Brad, having Brad introduce you to the team, and then start telling you a little bit about their product. Brad?
Excellent. Thanks, Joe. Everyone, thanks for joining. My name is Brad Bartkowski. I lead insurance channel development for Orion Fleet Intelligence. Also from the team, we have Scott Barry, who assists with the channel development, and Matt Gorby-Frisch, who helps with channel customer success in terms of making sure all the carrier rollouts go smoothly and we get the desired results. To provide a little bit of background about Orion, we focus on commercial auto profitability, more specifically enabling insurance carriers to leverage existing telematics technology, whether it be plug-in telematics, ELDs, or connected dash cameras, in their own operations from an underwriting, actuarial, claims management, and marketing and new business perspective to help increase commercial auto profitability of existing accounts, as well as help them grow premium through high-valued new insureds. What we'd like to do today is just kind of start off with kind of a brief program overview of the Orion program, what it's all about, and then kind of dive into some of the results that we're seeing alongside as provide some insights in terms of how carriers can really tap into this treasure trove of telematics data and solutions in order to improve their commercial auto book. So what the Orion Fleet Intelligence program is, it's really a combination of three things. One, some form of vehicle monitoring technology, two, data analysis, and three, driver coaching. And that analysis and coaching piece, that's actually led by our in-house team of data analysts. What makes this program so powerful is that analysis and coaching part. Data without action does not drive results. And many insureds, particularly in the middle market, they find themselves inundated with the amount of telematics data that's coming from conventional programs, but they're not quite sure what to do with it. They're finding themselves spending a lot of time on a website, digging through reports, and they then need to go out and talk to their drivers day in, day out to build this behavioral change. It's a lot of work. So what Orion does is we combine all three, providing not only the technology, but tailoring the reporting, leading the analysis to deliver to the insured action-ready insights that they can have a quick conversation with the driver, convey the necessity to improve to help build the behavioral change. And then for our carrier partners, we monitor those accounts on an ongoing basis, staying on underperformers to help them become best in class, all based on what we're seeing in the driving behavioral data. So in our conversations with the end fleet insureds, we like to say that if you're doing well with the coaching, you're still going to hear from your Orion customer success team. If you're not doing so well with the coaching, if you're not hitting those goals that you initially set forth, you're going to hear from us a bit more. We're going to keep giving you those additional coaching touch points to help you improve. Now, from a technology perspective, we're providing this analysis and coaching off of plug-in telematics hardware or connected dash cameras or mobile apps or ELD solutions. So the insured, they can pick the technology that works best for their operations, and then we standardize all of the data analysis and driver coaching through one interface. And for the insurance carriers that we work with, this is particularly powerful because they can deploy insureds of multiple different types with different hardware platforms and receive one standard kind of analytics platform that they're able to leverage for their commercial auto book. So just like we're leading that data analysis piece for the fleets that we work with, for the insurance carriers, we're doing the same thing where carriers have their own separate My Orion login where they can go in and see, from a safety perspective, what type of impact that we're having on the driver coaching side of things. Underwriters can log in and see exactly what is the operating radius, what is the garaging location, what's the population density driving score. I see a lot of state mileage in New York. Is this occurring in downtown Manhattan or the rural Adirondacks? Two totally different risk profiles. So they're able to see that information to more accurately price accounts. We're also passing off all of the raw data to the actuarial folks so that they can develop new leading indicators of risk and create new filings. And then from a claims management perspective, we're heavily involved with providing first notification of loss to carriers, as well as giving those insurers direct access to the dash camera footage when a claim occurs, so that they can more cost effectively resolve those incidents. So to just dive into some of the driver coaching results that we're seeing, here's some of the data that comes from the insured as they're wrapping up what we call their baseline period. So for the first 2 to 4 weeks of any individual insured deployment, we're starting with a baseline where we're just collecting pre-coaching data so that we can benchmark not only how that insured compares to their peers, but also identify the pockets of high risk and the individual patterns for that next level of driver coaching. So as you can see here, this particular insured, they were found to be speeding 6 miles an hour or more over the posted speed limit 29 times per 1,000 miles traveled. You can see how that compares within our larger data set to our coaching target. Usually we're able to get folks in that 2 to 5 range, and high risk is often considered folks that come to us kind of north of 18. And you can see here on either per driver or per vehicle basis how individual insureds compare to one another to identify where those pockets of high risk exist. Then we're able to pull specific instances like this, where you have a Class 8 truck doing 32 miles an hour over the posted speed limit, or a hotshot pickup traveling here in the mid 90s. And we'll use the aggregate data to really structure the driver coaching, identify where the pockets of high risk are, as well as create that tailored coaching message per driver. And then we really use the instances here to help communicate the necessity to improve to those drivers. The interesting thing about this particular insured is that prior to starting with Orion, they were fully deployed with a robust technology solution of telematics, ELD, and connected cameras. So in theory, this insured, they should have been seeing this data all along. They should have been acting upon this data, but it kind of goes back to where we started. It's one thing to be receiving the data, something completely different to be actively coaching your drivers on it, which is the gap that Orion fills on the fleet side.
So Brad, you're saying that this insured specifically had all that data, but was not using it?
Exactly. They had access to all of the data. They weren't using it. And when we speak with trucking insured specifically, some of the things that we find are, relative to other areas of commercial auto, business auto, they have very limited back office resources. Usually only kind of a couple of folks, given the fleet size. So they don't have a lot of kind of resources to manage that coaching piece. As well as second, you deal with environments that, sometimes you have owner operators, independent contractors involved in these fleets. There's additional coaching concerns there. So what Orion does, particularly in a lot of your fleets that are, sub 20, where they don't have a dedicated safety director, we almost fill that role of that outsourced safety director. And we have different coaching playbooks for your kind of your own fleet versus your independents, so that you can have that constructive dialogue with the drivers to help convey the necessity to improve.
Now, again, back to this example, this information really was just for the insured. This isn't information that we shared with the insurance company, was it, or can it be?
So this information was for both the insured and the insurance carrier, right? So as part of our carrier programs, we structure and we put in place the data sharing that allows the insurance carrier not only to see these insights, but also to tap into the raw data for underwriting, actuarial, claims management purposes.
Cool.
So here's that same insured, and you can see here how their driving behavior was impacted here through the additional Orion driver coaching. So this blue line here represents the number of speeding instances that the insured was that we found at the account per thousand miles traveled, and you can see where their baseline here was. We implemented that driver coaching, and typically takes about 6 weeks, but you can see kind of a nice fall off and nice continued sustained improvement. So for this particular insured, we saw speeding 11 miles an hour or more over the posted speed limit fall 70%. We also saw 48 and 58% improvement in the aggressive driving as well as the hard braking or the driver awareness infractions. And this is all through just kind of bringing that additional layer of analytics and driver coaching on top of the data to make it very easy for the insureds to improve the behavior. And then, Joe, getting back to your previous question here, here's an example of one of our carrier dashboards that actually aggregates the data across multiple insureds here, right? So this is that same line speeding 11 miles an hour or more of the posted speed limit from a carrier book, as well as you can see how that compares to their pre-coaching baseline. And the greater distance that you get between the two, the better. That's where that improvement stems from. So you can see here, we do see some spikes that occur in high-risk driving in the actual blue line when we have a new insured who's in baseline, who's pre-coaching. So that has to be expected, and then we implement the coaching and we work those folks down. But you can see here across this carrier book, 83% reduction in speeding 11 miles an hour or more over the posted speed limit, strong improvements in the aggressive driving and the driver awareness infractions. We like to keep this high-speed travel metric either north of 70 or 80 miles an hour. It turns out that these folks, a lot of them were in some kind of middle of the country areas with some pretty high speed limits. So that was less of a kind of a coaching target for this book, but it was good to see kind of that 83% fall off from the speeding 11 over. So carriers today are very interested in connected dash cameras and different ways that they can leverage those solutions. So just to kind of provide some insights there, Orion provides a number of different connected dash cameras, ranging from front facing to 360 to kind of AI based driver coaching dash cameras. One model that's particularly popular is our 360 connected camera. And because essentially all of our business comes to the insurance carrier industry, all the setups of our program, they need to be as friction-free as possible. So in keeping with that, this dash camera can be self-installed. We have programs with owner-operator carriers where the drivers themselves actually install the camera. It takes about 5 minutes to do it. Simply just sticks here to the glass and it plugs right into the vehicle diagnostic port. We have installation videos in multiple languages to make it easier for the drivers. And the camera itself, it has the integrated telematics built into it, right? So it's everything that the telematics provides, plus capturing the audio and the video, as well as the camera can provide spoken feedback directly to the drivers. So if there's a kind of a speeding event or a high-risk driving event, can automatically provide that spoken feedback to the drivers, as well as we're starting to build in the functionality to push out more custom-tailored driver coaching messages here over the cameras. The 360 cameras are particularly popular in the trucking space because, opposite of this photo, they're typically installed up high, pointing down, right where that rear view mirror would be. And that provides good visibility not only to out the front for the road facing, but also back towards the driver. And for any side swiping incidents, it provides decent visibility out the passenger and the driver's side window while still maintaining an ease of installation.
Now, are these expensive to add?
They're not much more than the telematics piece, and because it's all bundled in as one, particularly for trucking insurer programs, it's quite affordable. We tend to see the cameras being deployed the most in trucking applications, in medium to higher risk kind of business auto accounts, where you tend to see the telematics being deployed mainly in kind of the lighter duty, more preferred risks, and the mobile apps and the higher non-owned auto exposure.
Got it.
So here's just kind of some example footage from the 360 camera, and whether it's a live view or whether it's historical footage of an event, you can actually kind of pan around the footage in real time, so you can see in different directions. This is one of our developers here, just kind of in a demo video. As well as if you kind of prefer to see everything, all 360 at once, you're able to see that view as well too. So here's just kind of the same clip, looking at all directions here simultaneously. For our carrier programs, when there is a claim that occurs, or when kind of an accident sensor is triggered, it automatically pushes our footage to our analysts. Our analysts will quickly do a once-over, review it, make sure it's legitimate, and then we will push it out to the carrier dashboard, or in many cases the TPA's dashboard, which automatically notifies the appropriate party so that they can go in, see the footage, also have access to the historical data through the carrier dashboards, and then process that claim accordingly. The last thing to mention here on the results side before we shift into some of the carrier data and dashboards is we spent kind of the majority of the day talking about kind of safe driving and ways to reduce risk. But for our conversations with the insured, the program is much more than that. We're working with them from an operational fleet management perspective. We're working with them to help maintain compliance. We're working with them to help reduce operating costs. So, the other features of the program, for which we also provide that same data analysis and driver coaching, tie into helping these insurers improve kind of their real-time dispatch. We have a number of operational reports targeted at digitalizing driver timesheets or managing driver accounting cost centers, helping to manage vehicle maintenance, as well as integrated electronic logbooks, so that we can work with the insured, not just from a safety perspective, but provide that whole, fleet management telematics dash camera solution. And this is becoming increasingly important for the insurance partners that we work with. You can see here a quote from a carrier where, with all the benefits that come from telematics, from the first notification of loss to the data analytics, they're really looking at this as, hey, how can we use this to help improve retention, increase the switching costs here of our coverage by offering these additional value-added services. All right, so to dive here into some of the carrier dashboards. So as we mentioned, as part of this program, the insurers, they have access to their own login where they can go in at any time and view the performance of the various metrics for their individual insureds. So we have loss control dashboards that'll look at improvements in driving behavior. We have a kind of a robust series of underwriting dashboards that are actually tailored per carrier that look at everything from radius and garaging to state mileage to population density. We even have some carriers that come to us and request some specific tailored metrics, which we're able to provide. So, we really encourage carriers to kind of provide feedback in terms of what you're seeing in the raw data from an actuarial perspective. And then we're able to create that new metric for you and push it directly into your dashboards. So here's just a base underwriting dashboard that a carrier will have access to. And once again, the data that's populating this is coming from the same device that's in the vehicle, providing the insured with those fleet management benefits. But you can see a list of all of your insureds to the left. You can see a timeline here, slider on the right, if you want to focus on a particular time frame. And then you can see kind of your operating radius tab here that shows, across your book, 71% of the fleet activity so far is local radius, 25% is intermediate, and 3% is long distance, as well as you can see the range of garaging zip codes. And then you're able to drill down into any one insured. So if we wanted to sort this by highest operating radius, and we wanted to look at the highest operating radius insured, we could click there to drill into that, and you'll see the charts automatically populate. This particular insured, only 2% long distance, 61% intermediate, 36% local. You can see the range of garaging locations. And then if you wanted to drill in there further, you could drill into certain anomalies. So, this particular truck had a 1,300 mile operating radius, where the next one, maximum operating radius, where the next closest one was only 336 miles. So if we wanted to drill into that truck, we could see there was some long trip that occurred here in May, and the underwriter is able just to go right in and take a look at the activity. And let's say that this raised a question in the underwriting eyes. This day from the middle of May, where they drove 800 miles in a given day. You can actually click that map view link as an underwriter, and it will drill you right down into the data here. And you can see that this particular kind of breadcrumb trail is a trip that started in Virginia, at 12 midnight and straight through the day, through 12 midnight the following day, kind of ended up here in Fort Pierce, Florida. So once again, this is not a view that as an underwriter you look at every day for every account, but certainly where you desire greater visibility into the data, or where you see that anomaly, you're able to drill down into that specific instance. Also, too, we have state mileage tabs here that allow you to see not just kind of miles traveled, but also the number of vehicle days in any given state. So, for instance, you can see here in North Carolina, we had 2,200 miles of insured vehicle travel in the book, with only 14 vehicle operating days. Whereas when you get into some of these other states like Massachusetts, you're looking at 1,600 operating days with 2 million miles of insured vehicle travel. So it allows you to really kind of drill down and to see kind of which states you're having not just the most travel, but kind of the most presence by your insureds. And then also too, we do get into some population density driving score metrics that will help look at how densely populated are the areas that you're traveling. We have some proprietary scores that we've developed in this area, or we enable carriers to kind of apply their own scoring based upon what they identified as problematic areas. As well as we have a number of metrics related to fatigue for max miles traveled per vehicle per day, as well as some basic mileage tracking here for underwriting purposes. With all of our dashboards, as I mentioned, they can be tailored. So we really encourage carriers to kind of open up a dialogue based on what their underwriting criteria and priorities are, so that we can push those action-ready metrics directly to the underwriters. So just to wrap up in terms of how insurance carriers typically get their insured started with the program, we encourage all carriers to really make the program your own. Apply it to where you have more problematic areas. We have some insurers that really struggle with getting timely loss notifications, so they have programs focused there for first notification of loss. We have others that apply it predominantly for tough renewals. We have others that really use the program predominantly on new business. Use it to differentiate in order to bring on new accounts. A general framework that many carriers end up typically following is we see the most level of requirements for those high loss, those high risk insureds, those tough renewals, the ones that are really struggling to determine whether they're going to stay on for another year. We see our most kind of incentivized programs with those high valued renewals or new business accounts. And then anyone who kind of falls in kind of that middle, that call it that general population, those are the folks that are most commonly encouraged to participate in the program, either through a two-quote approach. Or some other means. So, happy to.
Based on what we're seeing and hearing in the marketplace, I mean, this is the way of the future. Every new program that we see coming out has some tie-in to technology and data, and we've talked many times that data is king, and there is so much data available now to insurance carriers, and the whole key is getting that data to them in a way that they can use it without having to sift through, just tons and tons and tons of data.
Yeah, absolutely. You hit the nail on the head, both from the insurance carrier's perspective as well as the fleet insured's perspective. Just making it very easy by tailoring the data into meaningful insights. So whether it be the underwriter can quickly act on the information, or that fleet can have a more focused driver coaching conversation to help build the behavioral change. And whereas telematics is nothing new, it's been around here for a long time. When the deployment is driven with not just the fleet's objectives in mind, but those of the insurance carrier, this is where we're able to not only get much better results for the insurers, but also to get them access to that data and help them build their proprietary data set, for pricing.
Well, when you get insurance carriers and motor carriers partnering, the result is going to be positive. It's going to be positive for both parties. Number one, underwriting results should improve, and number two, pricing for the motor carrier's insurance should improve, corresponding with the results of the insurance carrier. So it should be a win-win for everybody.
Absolutely. Yep. It very much becomes a collaborative approach. The end insureds, they're eager to share their data with the carrier to highlight, the successes that they've had. And for the carriers, what's also valuable too is, on rare occasion, we'll come across the account that really just doesn't buy into the driver coaching, doesn't get started. And we have escalation processes back to the insurance carrier to kind of to notify them of that. But even in those situations, that is another valuable data point for the insurance carrier to know, so that they can proceed with that insured accordingly.
That sounds good. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yep. No, so I was just going to wrap up. That's pretty much it. Kind of really appreciate everyone's time here today. Certainly, if you have any questions, please feel free to visit our website, orionfi.com, and definitely please feel free to reach out, and happy to share more, or kind of talk about your particular book of business and kind of different ways that we could potentially help from a commercial auto profitability perspective.
Well, Brad, before we sign off, I think that we need your two partners that are next to you on the screen to just kind of say hello and say a couple things about themselves and what they do, as a reference to people going forward. Let's start with Scott.
Sure. Scott Berry. I've been in the industry for many years now. The last 20 years, I was president of an MGA. Underwriting has been my background. Met Brad a couple of years ago in Orion, and really impressed by the quality and the capabilities of telematics. Thinking back to my career, having this type of data, this type of information would have made my job a lot easier, and in predicting future losses based on knowing what telematics brings to the table. Spent time with General Re, reinsurance company, as well as Hartford, Crum & Forster, and the captive management firm. So well versed in it, and just proud to be a part of Orion and the work that Orion can do.
Well, I've been in the business longer than you have, and these tools would have made me a whole lot of profit a whole lot easier than the little bit of information that we had at our disposal.
Yeah, I know, Joe. We talk about when we used to get an Accord application as our submission, and it would list the vehicles, and you'd say, okay, I guess that's how many private passenger, how many state trucks, how many long haul, and how they're driving. But it was a piece of paper. Now you've got live results. That really do make a difference, and I think through the pilot programs that Orion can offer, just as a value added to get an insured foot in the water, so to speak, to try it out and see just how good it can be. It really makes a big difference. And again, that quick pilot program can help an underwriter, credit the account if they're performing well, and improve it from there. So it's a great starting point.
I guess we saved the best for last.
Yeah. Well, hi, my name is Matt Gorby. I'm relatively new to Orion, to the industry, but prior to this, I've been coming from the personal line side of insurance things, so I have a little bit of background and familiarity here. But what I do work side by side with Brad for the most part on the channel side of things between us and the insurance companies. Just work on continue developing and maintaining those relationships, making sure everything goes smoothly along the way.
Well, you guys got a great product. And like I said, I wish it was available when I was underwriting, because this is gold. But you know, hopefully our members will contact you guys and maybe get a little bit more detailed information on the product. And we're glad to have you as part of the foundation. Thanks again.
Thanks, Joe.
All right,
Thank you, Joe.
great.